Hello. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing tonight?
Hello.
Hello, hello. Welcome to SRK Chat number 5. SSC Racing Events organisers here. Diego, Sam, Luke. Also joining us tonight, our new NRK Northern Rental Kart Championship organiser, Dom Cliff. Hello, Dom. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, guys. You okay? Nice to be with you all.
Absolutely.
Excited for the year ahead.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Dom? What's your racing history?
Yeah, so I've been racing a little over 23 years. As everyone does, it dies out eventually, money runs out. But I found that SRK was a perfect way to get back into it, and then mixing things in with the NRK should be good. Should be a good year.
It should be good indeed. So just a quick overview of SRK, Southern Rental Kart Championship, and NRK. We are a rental kart championship. We're based in southern of England. We go around tracks in this area. We use rental karts as per the name. We're kind of aiming for sort of somewhere in the motorsport ladder in between advanced indoor karting and going to kind of the more serious championships, I guess, like Club 100. Just a bit of fun at the end of the day, but all drivers welcome. So in this show this evening, we're going to be looking forward to the first round of our championship at Castle Combe next Saturday. And we're also going to be looking forward to some of the rounds across the year. And we'll be going through the rule book as well. So I'm going to try and remember how to use this software right now. There we go. We've got the overall calendar here. So, yeah, going to Castle Combe in a week's time. Herefordshire, not too far away as well. That's going to be another returning round. Wilton Mills back again after last year. Confident we're going to iron out any problems. And we're going to have 2 new rounds, Bayford Meadows in Kent and Three Sisters up in Wigan. Then we're going to Brighton. We're supporting Club 73, who are racing, I think, the day after us or later on in the day or something like that.
I think it's before.
Before us, is it? Okay, cool. And then we're going to Exeter again, Race World. Kind of like a double round. Kind of like the first round is just a regular SRK round. And then after that, we'll be sticking around for the endurance event, which is an hour long on the reverse circuit with everyone weighted up to the same. Just points going out for the team's championship in that one. And the final, due to be at Buckmore Park, I'll get onto that a little bit later on. So looks like a really bumper season. Got loads of people signed up already. We've got 33 people signed up for Combe, about 20 plus people on season pass as well. So that's fantastic to see. Always good community with this. What round are you looking forward to the most then, Sam?
I think for me, it's got to be Three Sisters. I've never been. Looking forward to trying out a new track. I think the main reason we started all this was to hit a lot of new tracks and put everyone out of their comfort zone. And yeah, I'm looking forward to learning that track. Yeah,
fair enough. What about you, Luke?
I'm looking forward to Wilton Mill. I love that circuit, and it went very well for me last year. So it'll go well again this year.
Yeah, it did. And Dom, you've only got the 3 rounds that you're going to be joining us for: Herefordshire, Wilton Mill, and Three Sisters. So which one do you like out of there?
Yeah, I think I'm with Sam on Three Sisters. I did quite a bit back in the day there. I know myself and you, Diego, looked around for tracks in the north, and that was one of the ones that came up trumps. So I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we briefly touched on it a while ago with NRK, but COVID just kind of put scuppers on the plan for a full calendar this season. But we're hoping to expand to a full season again next year, all things considering. I imagine we'll probably still have a couple of joint rounds with SRK, but ideally we're looking for more of a standalone championship with that. So we'll revisit that later in the year. Okay, so let's look ahead to our first round of the season, which is Castle Combe next Saturday. And I've got a preview image for that you may have seen on our Facebook page, which is going to come up in a sec. There we go. So the track preview. The key stats here, founded in 1991, outdoor track, 350 meters, quite a short one, 6 corners, tarmac surface. The SRK best performance is just this little thing that I pulled out my ass. It's not really anything in particular, but it just tells you who's been the best drivers at our rounds on average across the last couple of seasons. But Luke, you work at Castle Combe. You know all about it. So why don't you tell us what we can expect from Castle Combe?
So yeah, it's quite a short track, and racing's always pretty close there. It can be quite hard to overtake, but it's definitely not impossible. But it normally produces very good racing.
Very good. Well, it snowed last year, didn't it? So that was good fun. Like, it was just absolute carnage when it snowed. Because if it does rain or if it snows, we race on the slick still. So that's always good.
Yeah, racing on slicks in the wet is one of the best experiences for learning how to drive karts in the wet. And Max Verstappen says that his dad always got him to do it, and it's helped him massively, and he's now one of the best in the world in the wet.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, all right, cool. So let's go on to an onboard lap. So this is with Oliver Bayani, who was the lap record holder. I don't know if he still is, but what we'll do is we'll play this through in normal speed, and then we'll go through it a little bit slower, and Luke can talk us through it. So just for everyone to see. I don't know if it's coming up with the sound there, if it's super loud or whatever. Is it coming through with sound for you guys there?
No sound.
Okay, cool. We'll come through with sound in a sec.
I can make a burr.
There we go. How's that?
There we go.
Yeah, that's good now.
Brilliant. Well,
I'll have to play it again.
Anyway, that's fine.
We didn't see it. We changed the audio.
Yeah.
Do you want to play it again?
Play it in normal speed.
Yeah, play normal speed again, because we missed half the video when you changed the sound problem.
Sam, I blame Sam.
I missed that sound.
Very nice. Well, when we replay it now, it's going to be without sound anyway, so we won't have to worry about that too much. All right, so let's go over to Luke, and you can talk us through this lap. Tell me if you need to pause at any point, all right?
Yeah. So coming through onto the last corner, you don't want to run too far wide because you have to avoid the timing hat. Heading down towards the first corner, you want to take a nice wide entrance into the corner and aim to get on the power as early as possible to carry the speed out of the first corner. This track's a lot about momentum, and you need to make sure that you carry as much speed through the chicane as possible up towards the top corner to really maximise your speed through the track and get the best lap times. Heading up towards the top corner, you want to follow the barrier a little bit to the left to open up the top corner, and again aim to get on the power as quickly as possible coming out of it, and heading back down the hill past the pit exit, and aim to try and straight line this next part as much as possible. Again, very much about momentum, carrying as much speed as possible and getting as close to the tyre barriers, and then exiting out to finish the lap.
Very nice, good. And I think, did you win last year? It was you or someone that won last year, didn't you?
Yes, it was very wet last year.
So when it's raining, what would you do differently? I haven't got a video of that, but what would you do differently in the rain?
In the wet, you take completely different lines. Generally, you want to be driving off of the normal racing line because that's where all the water sets and it becomes a lot slippier. But as the track starts to dry up, you kind of have to transition your lines and find where the most grip is. But generally in the wet, you just take much wider lines and try and stay off of where the normal dry lines are.
Your ability to turn is decreased on the racing line because of all the rubber set into the concrete. So taking a wider exit all the way around the outside where the dirt is actually gives you more grip, and you're able to turn in the wet. It's a good track to learn and get to grips with driving in the wet. It was the first track I actually drove in the wet outdoor, and sort of based most of my terrible wet driving from that track.
Yeah, I always describe it as I don't know if anyone remembers the Raceway or the old Team Sport Bristol track. It's kind of like an outdoor version of that. It's very tight and twisty. It basically races the same, except it's outdoor. So it's not, same sort of karts as well. Cool. So we're going to be doing Sprint Plus rounds at this. A couple of different round classifications this year. Sprint Plus, I think we agreed in the pre-call that we're going to be doing the practice, then 3 heats.
Yeah.
3 heats. Then we're going to be going into the finals. So everyone will take part in every single one of those practice 3 heats final. You'll find that the grids are all mixed up. We are going to be running all classes together for the practice and the heats. And then after that, we're going to split into first the open class for the final, and then the weighted / pro/am for the however many finals we need for them. Just to mention that we are on 2 different point systems, so that should be fine anyway. You're not scoring points throughout the heats anyway, apart from that pole position. for the top point scorer in the Pro, Am and Open classes during then. There are, of course, going to be a couple of restrictions around COVID. So, Luke, do you want to go through that?
Yeah, everyone needs to make sure that they've got masks and balaclavas and that they're wearing them. We need to try and make sure that everyone socially distances as much as possible. And drivers that are coming are not allowed to bring any more than one person with them, as we need to limit the numbers as much as possible.
Yeah, cool. And you're going to be sending out, or one of us is going to send out the form via email that we need everyone to complete before Friday. Is that right?
Yeah, before lunchtime on Friday, everyone needs to complete our signing on form. And just another thing, we've got a one-way system in place as well. So the building is only open to drivers getting ready for the next race. And after they've been on the carts, they exit out up the steps onto the roof.
Very good. One thing I didn't actually talk to you guys about earlier, but driver photos are something we're going to be doing this year. So we've got a big old back canvas, and I'm probably going to be catching people just before practice for that. Hoping everyone wants to get involved. If you don't, honestly, not a problem. Just tell me, it's fine. It'll be with all racing gear on. We'll be using it on kind of graphics on Facebook and stuff like that, and some videos. So that'll be nice. We've also got a round sponsor for this round, Swift Cooper. So, Luke, you know about Swift Cooper. Do you want to tell us what they do?
So, Swift Cooper is a race car manufacturer that designs and makes Formula Ford race cars, and they're also a racing team as well that run both customs cars and cars that they've built in championships, Formula Ford championships around the country.
Very nice. And I should mention that round sponsorship is still open for the rest of the year. It's the cost of a single entry at that round if you want to get involved. And you may have seen some of the sponsors beforehand. ADS Paint and Decorating, hopefully be joining us throughout the year. Sheppy Windows as well, and I'm sure there'll be some more that come aboard. Okay, so that's pretty much all we had to say about Coombe. Anyone need to add anything about first round? No?
Okay.
Just that we hope that Sam will lose, or we have faith that Sam will lose.
I think everyone does.
Excellent. I should mention as well, if you're in the open final, we'll say it on the day, but try and stick around if you're on the podium to have a nice podium photo and stuff like that. Okay, cool. So I think we'll just jump back to the calendar and a bit of an update on the Buckmore situation. So for those that don't know, they can't open at the moment. They've had quite a lot of heavy losses due to COVID. Don't know what their exact situation is, but we aren't going to be running there this year. So I've been kind of frantically scrambling, trying to get hold of some other tracks. Probably the highest prospect so far is Mansell Raceway down in Dunkswell in Devon. Heard great things about that. Also been in discussions with Lakeside and Brentwood, which I believe is over in the east. I think Club 73 use that. Tracks that we can't do. Rednall have said no, and Red Lodge and Thruxton have said they can't accommodate us for the waiting. And PFI don't answer the phone. So anyway,
Rye House also have said no. Am I right in thinking?
I think Rye House can't at our price range, yeah. So that's what we're stuck with. It sounds like we should be all right anyway, to be honest.
It's a good option. It's a good option, though.
Yeah, we've wanted to have Mansell on board for a while, and the other tracks look good as well. So that'll be nice. Right, cool. I think what we're going to do then at this point is just kind of go through the rule book and just kind of remind everyone about some of the rules that we're going to be using. We will go through this on the day as well. And if you are watching, we're probably just going to be talking at this point. So I'll bring the rule book up, but feel free to put us on the table or whatever. So let's bring the rule book that I have handily closed up. Let's bring that up.
I think the main thing that's important to discuss this, if anyone has any questions in regards to how things are going to work, hopefully this will answer your questions. So feel free to fire away comments and ask if you don't know how something works. Weighing, teams, point system, anything, chuck it in the comments and we can answer it now.
Yeah, absolutely. So on YouTube, I think everyone's watching on there anyway. So am I good there? Oops, I don't know what's going on there. Okay, cool. So you can see this non-bright red rule book, so we can all read it this year. So thanks for that for me, because Sam wasn't in charge of that. So there we go. Right. So just a quick overview on the formatting classes. So as I mentioned earlier, a couple of different formats in this one. So sprint, we're doing I think Wilton Mill and Brighton, just a quicker version. Sprint plus is what we're running at Coombe and most of the time, and sprint indoor, more heats but with pit stops and the endurance round as well. So, Luke, do you want to talk about how the heats grids are kind of worked out?
So it's depending on what number people are signed on as. It gives everyone a grid. So there'll be 6 carts in each heat at Coombe, and everyone will get to start on a different row of the grid. So everyone will get to start on the front, middle, and back row of the grid, and not necessarily in that order. and it'll try and mix it up, randomize it as much as possible to give everyone a good chance of racing against different people.
Very nice, and we do hope to try and replicate that throughout the championship. As I say, we're only in season 3, so sometimes it is a case of just going in straight away and trying to explain what we're trying to do. So that's why we don't always have exactly what we want, but we are confident this year that we are going to get everything that we need in terms of organisation. So as I said, the 3 different classes there, 80 plus for pro/am and 80 minus for open. That does include artificial weighting, includes all your race gear as well. COVID has been an absolutely fickle mistress for me, so I don't even have to use weighting anymore. So that's terrible. I've just been sat here eating and drinking, and I feel awful. So that's going to go well for me at round 1. What classes are you guys in anyway? Dom, what class are you in?
Weighted Pro, I believe. Yeah, Weighted Pro.
Nice, yeah, Pro. And I assume Luke and Sam are in Pro as well.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I assume you're in the open.
Yeah, well, Luke's got 4 kilograms anyway, isn't he? So
it's about the same as me, I think.
Yeah, there you go. What we're going for really here is Weighted Pro. Obviously, is the class that we put all the emphasis on. That's one with the track map trophies, which are fantastic. That's the one that gets the BRKC prize. That's the one that we hope everyone would want to enter. The AM version is kind of just for kind of newer drivers. You do all race together, but you do you're only going to be scored for the AM class against people within your class. Open for other people that just can't wait up or just want to race for a bit of fun, or maybe don't want to go in with the pros at all. So that's an option as well.
Yeah, and it's a good thing to know is obviously, yes, there are big fancy trophies for the pro class, but there will be trophies for the other 2 classes as well, provided by the track.
Absolutely. Seb Reichenen's asked, can weighted seat be used or only ballast at the circuit? Weighted seats can be used. In fact, we encourage it, I believe. Is that right, Sam?
Yeah, best way to go about it is to assume that the track will not provide any sort of weighing at all in any help. You have to source it yourself. So add some lead under your rubber seat insert, sit on it, put it in your suit, whatever you need to do as long as it's safe. If you're not sure, then get in touch. Ask us before you just rock up on the day with bad weighing options. Then, it could mean that you don't race or you have to move to the open class.
And what is a good weighting option? So I think you mentioned ankle weights before.
Yeah, so if you go to any sports shop, they'll sell ankle weights that you can put to your wrist, your legs. I think before I even raced, before I tied sort of 4 1 kilogram and put it around as a belt, and that worked perfectly fine. That added about 4 or 5 kilos to my race, so that's an option. If you can buy cheap lead and then tape it to a rubber seat insert or a racing seat and like a tillet seat, you can put that in the cart. Fine, do that. That's what anyone racing in sort of a championship for the whole season should be looking to invest in.
But it's important to make sure that the seats are well protected as well, because you don't want to be damaging the kart track seats.
Tape it up the best you can, because if you damage any of the karts, we're going to have complaints on our hands. I'm sure they're not going to like bill you there and then, but they might bill us. So just be cautious. Yeah, be cautious of it. If you're unsure, I mean, I'll be bringing loads of duct tape on the day. I'm sure other people will, in case obviously you need to add or remove weight. We're all here to help each other out and have a good, fun, fair race. So if you need anything, just ask around. People will share.
Brilliant. Cool. Neil said, is it worth bringing spare weights for drivers to borrow? Yeah, I'd say so, especially at round 1.
If you can, that'd be great.
Cool. So moving on to, we should mention this now, the weighted AM class then. So entry to this class is reserved for new or casual drivers, and the SSC Racing Events organisers may intervene and reclassify drivers if they believe someone has entered in the wrong class. So I guess, Sam, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's fine. So, if you believe that you're not going to be very good and you want to enter in the amateur class, you just want to take out that element of, worrying about winning. You just want to have a bit of a championship and have a bit of fun, see how you stack up. The amateur class is good for that. But if you start overperforming and beating half of the pro class, we're probably going to have a chat with you to rediscuss putting you into that pro class and actually giving you a shot at going for those bigger, better trophies and winning the title overall. So anyone that deliberately tries to enter the amateur class so it's easier to try and win a trophy, we're going to look at that straight away and see you overperforming and then fix that for the next round. We might even do it on the day after practice if we feel that you've really entered the wrong class. But the idea behind that is to make sure that those that do enter the amateur class have a fun, fair race and are people with the same skill level. You know, we don't want to be robbing anyone of a chance to win. We want that class to be very close knit, and then anyone that is experienced or good can do the pro class. But at the same time, you are going to have someone that might be a local to that track. They might be good at that track and not so good at other tracks, and they still might be an amateur driver. So you might have to overlook that to a degree.
Yeah, we're putting it in place just for fairness. We're not trying to ruin someone's day that's top of the AMs. We're not just going to jump in there and be like, oh, you're 1/10 too fast there. We will use our best judgment. So the way that the championship operates as well, as best 6 of 8 rounds, we're going to take a kind of a big overview after round 2 and see kind of the general state of everyone. If we think anyone's in the wrong class, we can reclassify you within pro and am, because we're all on the same point system anyway. So that's why those classes race together. In open, you can't transfer easily into the other classes because of the point system. So please do kind of take that into account when trying to put yourself in the right class. And if you do need to change, please just let us know ASAP. I know a couple of drivers are unsure on that. Okay, cool. So moving on to weights. We'll be weighing in the top 3 after every race, so don't go running off if you're in the top 3. I don't think we need to talk too much on that. That's
every heat, not just the final.
Every heat. And a little bit about penalties on the penalty license. Who wants to talk about that?
I'll take it. Yeah, no problem. So, I mean, you know, like in Formula 1, you've got obviously the points license before a penalty comes along. So this year we've sort of taken that approach. Rather than just discussing one incident and applying a penalty we see fit. What we're going to do essentially is, for the weighing system, as you can see on screen, anyone that falls below the limit of 0 to 1 kg will get 3 points on their license. If you make that mistake 4 times across the whole championship, you're going to be looking at a penalty, because that's 12 maximum points. If you have a more heavier penalty, if you hit, you know, just under 5 kg underweight, you're looking at a heftier penalty. You'll get 6 points. You can only afford 1 or 2 of those mistakes. And then if you have a serious mistake where, you know, you're weighing in at 60 and you're in the Pro-Am class, you're going to be looking at an immediate loss of points. The idea behind that is to make sure that there's no one cheating. We're just trying to keep things fair. We're not trying to be harsh. We're not trying to ruin anyone's day. You know, it's just to essentially scare people from trying to cheat. The same thing happens with penalties for contact, bad conduct, anyone doing anything throughout the day. So we will also have, this is down to ourselves, so myself, Dom, Luke, Diego, if we feel that there's been an incident that the track haven't dealt with. So if you've not been issued a black flag due to something that we feel you maybe should have, we could issue points on your license and get you some deduction in points for the championship. So you've got to be careful. You know, if you receive a black flag in the race on the day, then we're not going to give you a penalty, because you've suffered your penalty there and then. They've dealt with it, and we'll leave it at that. After the 12 points have been hit, as Neil was about to ask, I think Diego was about to ask.
I knew it was going to come up with Neil.
It will just restart. So you'll go back to 0 and you'll get another 12 points, and you'll just start again. So you can possibly rack up 2 maximum penalty points if you were to hit 24 points.
That isn't a challenge, by the way. Please.
That is not a challenge. But I mean, 15 points being taken from your championship total is detrimental to winning the title. You know,
I mean, that's huge. It was 1 point between the top 2 last year, wasn't it? So
top 3 or 4 was about 2 to 4 points or something. So that's enough to knock you off the podium completely. So you can drive badly, you can take up all these points, you can try and cheat with weight, but if you get that ultimately on the last round, if you get another point and you go over, you're down to possibly even out of the top 10 of the championship.
Yeah, that's going to be good, isn't it? Basically, it's just behave, just don't be a bell end. That's all we ask. It's so tough for Sam. He wakes up every day, and it's like every day. But I have faith that you're not going to get a penalty. Yeah, his head just goes all up, all around, all the place. Right, let's go back to karts, because we jumped ahead a little bit there. Yeah, I guess Luke, you can talk about it, because you're the Coombe guy, about karts a little bit.
So the karts are completely down to the circuits themselves. We try and encourage the tracks as much as possible to get the karts as close together. But the nature of rental karting is some of the karts will end up with problems. Some of them will be slower than others, and it's down to the individual tracks themselves as to how they police those karts. and what they do in that respect. But
I would add as well that, you know, across the whole championship, you think of every different kart that you will drive. You're gonna get some shitters. You're gonna get some good ones. You know, luck is luck. Yeah, we can't sit here and throw our toys out the pram every time we get a bad kart. To a degree, you've got to just accept it, do the best you can with it to reduce the damage, and try and come out on top overall. You know, I think if there's a round where you've got 3 races, you might get a good, a bad, and an average, and that's how you keep it. It's all about consistency. Winning a championship, it's not about one round. And I think when you think about it, as long as there isn't clearly not a mechanical issue with a kart, it's going to be kept in, because the tracks don't have the tools and resources to just keep taking out karts every time it's underperforming by a 1/10. It's just not possible. We're doing what we can, but so are the tracks.
And it's the rental kart championship. That's like, it's in the name of the championship, so you have to accept that this is part of it. And what we don't want to see is tracks getting slated on social media because of stuff like this. Like, we want to support all these tracks as much as possible.
Yeah, ultimately that leads to them not welcoming us back next year, and then we've got to search up for new tracks. So we need to make sure we don't do that.
Exactly right. I don't think we need to go through the final, well, it says finals, the heat format too much, but basically you score points based on your finishing positions. And once we get to the finals, your starting position is based on your points. You're only scoring points for the final. I think that's pretty much covers that, right? And again, black flags. I think that was pretty much what we covered, what Sam was saying, unless anyone needs to add anything on this.
Yeah, we have a question from Neil.
Yeah.
Comments about video footage. We mentioned that in the pre-chat.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, well spotted. Will you review video footage afterwards and issue penalty if needed? Dom, do you remember what we said about that?
Vaguely, we had an independent guy that was happy to review video footage. And then after he reviewed that, a decision will be made, and that is something that's possible.
So we do have Mr. Oliver Bayani. I'm sure quite a few of you know who he is.
Illustrious.
I've also got another chap called Sean Briley, who won't be taking part in the whole season, is a very experienced racer. Either one of those two will review the footage and make a decision, and then feed it back to us and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, cool.
If we can't come to an agreement, I think is ultimately where that comes in.
Yeah, cool. We should say most of these things are probably going to be quite rare, because hopefully everything will be dealt with on the day by the track, but we just need to account for it. And then driver's license, we went through. Championship points, again, we don't need to go into too much detail. It's pretty close. You're going to get points for pole position, fastest lap, and that is within the classes. Well, I should say, I suppose, weighted pro/am are on the main point system, but the pole position and the fastest lap are separate for them, and open are just on there, a completely separate thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to point out. I think the same example with the lights and the heavies for 2020. You could have a heavyweight driver finish in sort of the top 5 and beat a lot of lightweight drivers and take extra points ahead of their class mates. So, if you're an amateur driver and you happen to finish 5th or 6th one round, and you're surrounded by pro drivers, what that means is you're going to pull away from those in your amateur class. So having it mixed is exciting. At the same time, it means that those pro drivers really do have to be better than those amateur drivers to keep them behind to maintain points. So it keeps things interesting.
Yeah, and we've got armbands as well this year. So green, red, and yellow. Armbands. So we'll be kind of giving them to before every race. So you should be able to kind of work out who you're racing against, but you're trying to score points off them anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's all of that. Yep. I think that's there. Oh, briefly, the NRK Championship. Dom, do you want to go over how that's going to work with the NRK Champion?
Yeah, so this year, with us only being able to obviously get 3 tracks, and it merged into one. The overall NRK Champion, it can be anyone from racing across the series. It doesn't matter whether they're solely NRK or not. So, yeah. I think that's how it works. Is that right?
Yeah, I tried to dump that on you there, didn't I?
Yeah. You didn't prepare him for that at all. The main thing to note is that the 3 NRK classified tracks, or the NRK and SRK tracks, which is Three Sisters, Hereford, Wilton, those 3, yep. So if you win all 3 of those rounds and then lose every other round, you'll be the NRK champion. You know, it's performing in those 3 rounds, and obviously we have NRK entrants that we might only see for those 3 rounds, but then we also might have people on season passes for SRK that perform well at those 3 and take the title of Northern as well. So it's an extra title to try and claim and fight for within a championship. It's quite cool.
And it is just pro class.
Slightly better than my explanation, Sam. Thanks.
I was trying to help you out.
we want everyone involved.
But yeah, as you said, Diego, is the pro class only that can win that title.
Yeah, pro class only. Just keeping it simple this year. As I say, hopefully expand into a main event next year, main championship next year. The prizes, no change in those. Top in pro class gets British Rental Car Championship entry for 2022. Also £100 for each class, which is either a track day voucher, a Daytona Motorsport voucher, Demons Weeks voucher, or to be used against any of our own events. Yeah, so that'd be good. I think we were hoping for a little bit more, but COVID is what it is, eh? So still some decent prizes, and the trophies look absolutely mint this year. Sam, what's with the track map trophies this year?
They're honestly the best trophies I've seen in karting. They are fantastic. I cannot wait to get them out. They're quite hefty. They're sort of bigger than the usual sort of big cups that you'd get at big endurance races at local tracks. So yeah, they're very good, and they're custom made, one of a kind as well.
I might actually keep a trophy. I just throw them out. I don't care.
These are worth keeping, definitely. And we've got a partner, Jose. I can't even pronounce his surname. I'm terribly sorry. We'll post some details of him if you guys ever do want to replicate trophies or anything. He's open to options to do that. So,
Sam, what's his company called? Do you know?
JM something. JM Designs, I want to say.
We're great.
Yeah. We're still in the process of getting his logo and everything uploaded as a sponsor, but he might even come along to a couple of rounds, so we'll introduce him to everyone and give him a massive thanks, because he's done us a solid. He's not taken any money from us at all. He's done it all at cost rate, and he's given us these fantastic trophies. So, and he's handmade them all. Nice,
cool. And then we also have the other ones. In fact,
that's an example of them right there on the left.
Oh yeah, perfect. We probably should have updated this image actually. Yeah. So that's for the pro class. What do we have? Do we have for Am and Open as well?
We do. So for each track, depending on where we are going, the tracks will provide trophies. So your standard trophies for the amateur class and potentially for the open class as well. If they don't, we will put it. I'll put my own hand in my pocket and buy some trophies on the day to make sure that the open class have some.
Yep, cool. And then the overall winners of the entire championship get the big ones in the middle there.
Correct. Yes, they're nice fancy gold cups with lids and everything. I think we posted a photo up, didn't we? Which was quite fancy. Right,
cool.
They're massive as well.
And teams trophies, I'll go over that in a little bit. We need to update that on the rule book as well. We're not doing the Masters champion or the 90 kilos champion, as far as I remember.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all from the rule book. As I said, we're still open for entries. bit.ly/SRK2021 or go to sscracingevents.com. You can still enter the entire season if you want to. The full season pass is all the way up to round 1 available. Partial season pass as well, all the way up to round 3. If you do need installments, just drop us a message. I'm sure we can sort something out. And on the other hand, if you just want to join us for one round, you're more than welcome. This isn't a super serious championship. We are welcoming all drivers. It's fine. But we do need everyone entered by Thursday midnight. So if you're not entered by Thursday midnight, you're going to be starting from the back of the grid in all of the heat races. Yeah, it doesn't include the final.
In order for us to pay the tracks in advance and get things organised a bit smoother, we do need to set a deadline about a week before each event now, don't we? So,
yeah.
One other thing to mention that I don't think we have mentioned is merchandise. So for those of you that have put in an order for merchandise, we're currently putting that on hold just for a couple of weeks because of the change of track for Buckmore Park. The last thing we want to do is give you your merchandise and it have the incorrect track on the calendar on the jersey. So give us a couple of weeks if you have ordered any merchandise. We'll make that order the moment we confirm the replacement track. So hopefully, I'm predicting round 2 or 3 is when we should have it.
Cool. And I didn't actually put it in the rule book, but I'm going to bring this across. There we go. Teams Championship. I think I was supposed to say something about this. So all the drivers, you're all scoring drivers' points, but the team's championship runs alongside this, just like it does in Formula One. There's no like physical team aspect to it until later on at the endurance round. So we do encourage all drivers to enter. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. I've got quite a handful of drivers that are looking for a team on the entry form, so we'll kind of get the vibe of all of those drivers after the first round or so, and attempt to pair some drivers up. 2 to 4 per team per round. This is. The highest finishing 2 drivers will have their scores added to form the team score. So kind of like how World Rally Championship works, similar to that. Then you can make 4 substitutions to this lineup throughout the season. We're just kind of trying to stop people like Luke coming in with ringers every round, and no, people like Brad. You're allowed to do that a little bit though. Driver numbers used on our entry list and stuff just to keep me happy. So you'll be able to see who's on whose kart throughout the season. Drivers in the open class can score 50 points of the overall points towards the team score. So I'll briefly explain that. Because they're on different point systems, you can have an open driver in your team. They just won't be able to score the full amount that they would do in the Drivers' Championship. So, for example, say they got 50 points for the win, only 25 of those would go to the team's championship. But we shouldn't really see that too much because we don't really tend to see many open drivers in teams. And the additional endurance race is directly after the SRK Exeter round. An hour endurance race, we're using the reverse circuit on that. We'll have minimum pit stop times so we can secure weights, check everyone's weighted up to the same thing. You can actually enter that as a solo as well if you want. I think I need to update the price with a pit stop. Yeah, I think I need to update a price on it because I don't think we were able to get the cut price on it. So it is £90 per cart on that. But I'll have some more details later in the season.
And we have a limited amount of carts that can enter. Is it 12, 14? Do you know?
I think so. Yeah, it's quite a low amount, and obviously we'll give preference to the teams that are in already. Yeah.
So if you want to enter that, you need to get in quick because that could fill very quickly.
Yeah, I'll put some more info about that out soon, actually. Because I know we've got 4 in our A team and they'll probably split into 2. So yeah, probably lots of demand for that, but lots of more info coming on that later on in the season. Right, cool. I think that was pretty much all of the stuff for the rule book. That's pretty much all we've got for this evening. Does anyone need to add anything at all?
Nope, I'm happy.
All good.
Where's your cat tonight, Sam?
Where's which one? I've got 4.
I'm not surprised.
They're everywhere.
We had Luke's dog earlier. He had some very good points.
Yeah,
bark.
Interrupted me very rudely.
Yeah. And Dom's just got his race suit and his helmet.
Your helmet's just hanging there. What?
It always stays there. That's where it stays.
I haven't got my Shrek wall. And I need to buy some more Shrek tapes.
You do?
I think I've got enough. Oh, that was close. We almost had to cancel the season there, guys.
One thing to note is we do have visor strips this season. Oh, yeah. So courtesy of BSR and Sheppy Windows, they have kindly donated us custom visor strips in the style of SRK as well as NRK. So per round, we'll have them available. If you cannot take 10, because we only have a limited amount, take 1 or 2 colors and leave it at that. If you've got one on your helmet and you're asking for another one, we're probably going to say no. You know, obviously,
once they're gone, they're gone. Yeah,
exactly. Once they're gone, they are gone, and you can only get one if you enter. Simple as.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can't have one for your car or your dog. Yeah,
your dog.
Cool, brilliant. Right. Well, thanks for your time, everyone. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at round 1. It's a 12. Oh, I should mention 12:30 arrival for the weekend. Pre-practice available, Luke.
Yeah, we got arrive and drive practice from 11 AM, and it costs £15 per 10-minute session.
How do you book that?
I mean, you can book it through the website, or if you can't get through it, it's castlecombekarting.co.uk, and it's on the website under practice, 10-minute practice sessions. But you feel free to message me to book onto it.
Are people able to just show up and book it, or is it pre-book only?
I say pre-book only because we've got limited spaces. If there's any spaces on the day left, you can do it, but it's not worth risking it. So
not advised. There's your answer.
Do we need to do physical sign-in as well on the day, or are we doing that pre now?
No, pre sign-in. So we'll send out a form by email tomorrow, and everyone just needs to fill that in. And then when you arrive at the track, just see the race director, and he'll put a tick next to your name, and your sign-on will be completed before the event.
Brilliant. If you are running late on the day and you need to alert us, just probably message one of us on Facebook or put it in the drivers group if you haven't joined on Facebook, SRK Championship. Very quickly, Neil says, have you got many booked for practice?
Yeah, we got about 7 people booked so far, I think.
I'm guessing that's 7 people booked for every heat practice.
Not quite, no. So the 11, 15 sessions are not that booked out, but as we get close to 12, 15, we're more full.
Brilliant. So yeah, still open for booking the whole year. If you are planning coming later on in the year, you can still book in now. NRK is open for booking as well. Remember, that's the second round, so that's going to be booking up soon. We may be subject to a maximum amount of drivers later on in the season, especially with this. We are getting quite close at 33. And I'm pretty sure we will be subject for Herefordshire, so we'll see how that goes later on in the season. But anyway, I'm droning on now. I'm looking forward to the weekend, and thanks everyone for coming on tonight. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks, Glenn.
Cheers,